Hello and welcome to Beta Systems Garancy Recertification Center. The Beta Systems Garancy Recertification Center is a portal-based, business-friendly solution for recertification. A user access recertification is, of course, the process of continually auditing users' permissions to make sure that they have access only to what is needed. Recertifications become a serious concern for many industries and organizations recently due to the importance of securing access to key data. Access certifications are a critical requirement for many data security and privacy regulations, including regulations such as Sarbanes-Oxley, HIPAA, and others. And by routinely validating user access privileges to ensure that rights granted are still required, your organization can effectively meet audit and compliance requirements and improve its overall risk posture. While there's no doubt of the need for recertification, implementing recertification and enforcing policies has proven challenging. So let's look a little bit at what the issue is at hand. Why do we need to recertify? Well, attacks on information security have been growing at a rate of about 66% per year over the last several years. And most of the times, companies are spending money and effort on preparing for external attacks, but insiders with excessive accesses are really the most likely cause of data leakage. It's estimated that somewhere between 50 and 70% of all successful attacks have been attributed to insiders. So what we see is that enterprises are really doing way too little to track and enforce access right policies. So let's first start out with a very simple definition. What is access recertification? Well, access recertification can easily be defined as a periodic, conscious review by a designated reviewer, which is a human being, of what access users have been given to a given system. It's really a proactive process rather than a reactive process. And what we're seeing in the news is all sorts of reactive processes. So in order to have recertification be successful, you need to have a campaign, an internal campaign, where you are going to consciously set aside time and effort to recertify that users have still got reasons to access the information that they need. So why do we need recertification campaigns? Well, if it's not clear by now, too many inside jobs are causing the problems. As I said before, somewhere between 50 and 70% of the data breaches are being caused by insiders. And not only that, oftentimes we don't know how long the breach has lasted. So those breaches may be more serious than originally realized. Identity access data is more valuable than ever, and there are more people looking for weak points in your identity management solution to exploit it. Those are known as the bad guys. More identity data means more opportunities for theft and misuse. So you need to watch for these external breaches, but you're really looking for internal breaches as well. Protecting employee and customer data has always been important for audits, but now with heightened threats and increasing regulatory requirements like Basel III, ISO requirements, PCI DSS, Solvency II, Sarbanes-Oxley, HIPAA, and lots of others, and of course internal audit requirements, recertification really requires a much more focused attention and dedicated resources that are going to ensure data security and privacy. We often see that only alibi recertifications or across-the-board recertifications are being performed because business users aren't doing individual recertifications. That could be due to their workload or limited time, or perhaps the manager who's doing the recertification doesn't even know what the meaning of a particular access right that they're recertifying means. Or sadly, we also, of course, still see many people who are using stacks of printouts to determine recertifications. And that's kind of old school now. Even when access provisioning has been automated, access recertification should be used to certify that not only that users are still working here, but their accesses are still appropriate. So you can terminate an account where individuals really don't need to perform, if a user doesn't really need something to perform their daily functions. So you might be able to approve most of the accesses and disapprove some accesses. particularly valuable in cases in which the user population is being recertified is not managed by an authoritative system like HR. For example, contractors. Contractors are rarely managed from within a corporate HR system. Usually their roles and privileges are managed from the IAM system directly, so you need some sort of an automated recertification process and campaign. Clearly what you want to do is also detect threats based on access risks, so you need to be able to do risk assignment. And with recertification, you can enact changes in real time on the source systems after completion of the recertification campaign. So that's really automated deprovisioning. So you need to be prepared for tomorrow's breach. And of course, what I'm saying here is that recertification is your first line of defense. Here are some of the top reasons for compromised internal security. Orphaned accounts. Those are accounts that are still active even though an employee has left the company. Perhaps excessive permissions have been granted, and then those permissions are systematically extended. There's not been a complete review. Sometimes permissions get granted on an emergency basis without taking into account all the requisite security measures. This can happen oftentimes when companies are expanding rapidly, or if there's a merger and acquisition scenario. That means that matters are generally being dealt with in a timely manner rather than a careful manner. So that is another issue. Sometimes we see systems or user administrator accounts that have been allocated on an unlimited basis, and those really need periodic review. And sometimes we see toxic access rights. These are access rights that have not enforced segregation of duties. So you have two access rights that should not be granted together. So you need to be able to enforce segregation of duty. And then the third-party access rights that don't follow the same standards as internal users. You need to be able to validate third parties are following those same remote access security best practices that your internal users are using. So the question really is how can you successfully manage this craziness that's going on within your access control and access management group? What we propose is that you need to establish an effective periodic recertification process. That means you need to run campaigns to review the user's access rights on a regular basis, and you need to assign managers to do this. They need to recertify the users or revoke their entitlements. Don't forget that the people who are going to be doing these recertifications are human beings. We need to make this as simple as possible for them. Managers often get confused by the process if it looks too technical, and they may even question why it needs to be done if it's not simple to do. So how do you do this? How do you make it so that it's easy for managers to understand what it is they're doing and for them to actually perform the work? So the first thing we talk about is that recertification campaigns need to be time-bound. This entails setting deadlines that are realistic yet aggressive and that are going to ensure that the process completes within a desired time frame. The idea here is you minimize risk by quickly eliminating unauthorized accesses, and by doing so, obviously, that's going to help your organization. You want to have use metrics and a dashboard to track the completeness of each campaign, and this is going to be key to enforcing the need to comply within the recertification campaign itself. In other words, you can show print-offs or online screens to management and show how progress is being made and where the bottlenecks are on the recertification. You can also then enforce the execution of access recertification process, even for those who don't take the job seriously on certifying the access. You know, sometimes managers might have the temptation to just check the box or a rubber stamp, and you want to make sure that they understand what they're doing before they do it. And then finally, with the recertification campaign, you can justify access rights to the auditors. They'll be able to view everything that's been done during the campaign and to audit easily whether a permission granted to a specific individual is justified. You can see who approved the recertification, when they did it, and why. And by giving your internal or external auditors a reading mode access, they can be completely independent of you for auditing purposes and have easy access to the evidence that has been gathered during this recertification campaign. You know, we like to talk about the user recertification process as keeping the least privilege principle. And here you see a screenshot of what our Garancy Recertification Center looks like. So how do you ensure that the users are still needing the access rights that they've been granted? And here we have groups and roles and high-risk groups. You can see on the right, you can see the time frame and the progress on this screen. Managers are going to obviously be needing to testify periodically that their team members still need the given entitlements and then be held personally liable. So by doing this, then the organization itself is going to be able to see the completeness of each certification campaign at any time for any user and see what their accesses are to any application. You're going to be able to get details on the time frame and the progress towards completion, and information even on roles and groups to be recertified by lines or by business managers or by departments or even by the whole company. You're going to also be able to track changes in anomalies and give security officers and their teams information on all the details on anomalies that they need to be able to rectify them. So they need to resolve those issues when they see them. You're going to be able to enable risk managers to gain a better understanding of issues affecting information security. And then using the Garancy Recertification Center, the workflows are going to make these recertifications auditable. The Recertification Center comes with extensive audit analysis and full support of audit requirements, so you can have proof of compliance. So let's take a closer look at the life cycle for users and access management objects. Here's a peek at the Garancy Recertification Center, which is a risk level driven process. A risk level driven process means that you can mitigate access risks and reduces the review times as well as the review costs substantially by using risk level driven recertifications. Then you can act immediately to correct inconsistent or unauthorized permissions to prevent unwarranted accesses. After that, you can enact these changes in real time with your IAM solution on those source systems. And you'll be able to enforce the need to comply with the recertification campaign and within the defined time frame, which then can minimize the risk of unauthorized accesses. Using business-friendly metrics and dashboards that are easy to understand helps your business users to help you with the compliance process. So here are some of the key capabilities of the Garancy Access Recertification Center. We're hoping that you'll be able to say goodbye to spreadsheets because this is including a business-friendly and intuitive browser interface that enables internal and external users like contractors to easily and comfortably recertify access rights. It's a business-friendly and intuitive browser interface that can show the status of the process, and it's viewable in a progress bar at any time. And the progress bar is going to detail the things like due date, descriptions, revoked and recertified entitlements, time frame, and progress. You'll be able to have a single user view, a group overview, maybe cross-table comparisons, and you'll be able to see all new, accepted, rejected, and pending certifications. You'll be able to assign substitutions or delegations via the workflows with automatic security checks on abilities and conformity according to the defined delegation rules in the IAM engine. So if someone's on vacation, it can be reassigned to someone else who is entitled to do the same recertifications. The Garancy Recertification Center allows for highlighting, notification, and reminders. For example, sending reminders to an approver whose progress is falling below progress status that you need to have them maintain in order to make the process complete on time. It includes an auditable rule or segregation of duty violation handling. And after completion of the recertification test, there's automated out-of-the-box deprovisioning. In certain circumstances, you still might want to do bulk recertification, and it is available for specific conditions that you might set up in your rules. And finally, when access changes are required, for example, completing a termination of access, then the provisioning system can be leveraged to automate those changes and handle exceptions. The Garancy Access Recertification Center is easily configurable to your needs. It's straightforward configuration of workflows for automated recertifications instead of some sort of laborious customized process. With the Recertification Center, you can create recertification campaigns for who, what, when, or for intervals or durations almost effortlessly based on organization units, job titles, or risk assessment. And you can schedule those recertification campaigns or perform ad hoc campaigns at any time. The Garancy Recertification Center is also flexible and it's very compliant. It supports mobility, so it's got a responsive design in the portal that's optimized for use on the desktop, but also on tablets and mobilized devices like cell phones. With the Garancy Recertification Center, you can support internal and external audits and ensure compliance with various regulations at a minimal cost and in record time. Complete event logging and archiving of the progress status, what's been done, what's still open, who did what, who the owner of the resources are, who are the groups, the roles, entitlements, approver, reviewer, etc. All these different things are viewable. And the portal is also internationalized using Unicode-based code that enables the use of different date and time formats depending on your where you're located. So that is the Garancy Recertification Center. We hope you are interested in learning more about the Recertification Center. But first, let me just give you a little information about Beta Systems in case you don't know us. We're a medium-sized German software company based in Berlin, and we're the largest IAM provider in Europe. North American customers are served from North American sites, however, and we have development and support centers in North America. With over 20 years of experience in the IAM arena, we've had no failed projects, and that is in part due to our excellent software, of course, but also because we have very experienced, highly capable internal consulting organization that can help you with implementation questions and overall concerns about IAM and recertification. So we've never had a project fail due to technical issues, and that's a record we're proud of. Thank you very much for your attention today. And if you have any interest in learning more about Garancy Recertification Center or Beta Systems, please feel free to contact us at info@betasystems.com. Thank you.